It's like Comic-Con, only smaller.
All right.
Can you guys hear me through the mask? Oh, I'm
yeah.
myself. We're good.
Let me just,
Yeah, speak very loud and loud.
So, I think you guys know that among fans, James is not a very popular character.
Can you say that one more time?
Oh, I said I think that you guys all know that, among fans, James is not a very popular character. So what I was wondering is, who is your guys' least favorite character on the show?
well, who do you think is my least favorite character? Let's take one loud guess.
Best answer ever. I love everybody.
Is that all? Forget.
Thank you.
Alright, hi. So, at the risk of sounding like quote-unquote that guy, I'm here with me and my friends. We're a bunch of film students. This show, just in general, I know for me, and a lot of them too, and this movie, in large thanks to you guys, is just like so inspirational for the type of art like I want to make in my life. And I just was thinking and wondering if there's any like movie or play or book or anything that made you guys know you wanted to be artists and entertain people like this show is for me.
We've been talking about this very thing. We are available for anything that you guys might do. We've been waiting for you guys, so hurry up.
You're the new generation.
But you know.
Yeah, I mean, for me, that doesn't stop. That process has gone, I mean, I'm in my 50s, and I still will see new work or new way of storytelling or new way of seeing the world or new music or new poetry or whatever form of art it is. And I get just as inspired in my 50s as I did in my 20s. And so, to me, that's what's thrilling. That's what keeps me inspired, is that it doesn't ever have to stop at one way. It's an energy that keeps evolving. Creativity is. So I don't know that answers your question very well, but stay open, pay attention. Don't just look at your own creative form of expression. Look at all artists. I mean, just every form of art continues to inspire me. So sometimes even going back, and looking at artists in history, that will inspire me, as well as new artists.
Yeah.
And we're available.
First and foremost, I just want to say thank you. I'm also a film student, and this show is the reason I do what I do. And my question was, since the first 2 seasons of Twin Peaks were on network TV, and this was a film that was rated R, how much more spontaneous was doing this as compared to like planning out every week doing something? Does that make sense?
Wait, I'm going to say your question back to make sure I understood it. Are you sort of asking the difference between telling, because in a way it's the same story, just a different part of the same story, telling it on network television versus telling it in an independent film way?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, my experience on this particular story, it was very different telling it in in a TV set than in a film screen, for many reasons that most of them are pretty obvious. But But creatively, also, the biggest difference for me, and Dana would be able to speak much more to this than me, but on the show, there were a lot of different directors, which it's a different thing than when you're working with only one director straight through the whole time, and also the schedule of an independent film. It's very concentrated, lots of hours, mostly 6-day weeks. So once you're in it, you are in it. Whereas the TV show, it's just a little bit different in that way.
Yeah, it was more intense doing the movie for sure. But that was also because whenever David was involved, it was more Twin Peaks than when other people would come in, even though they were great directors and stuff. It just wasn't the same.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, I also wanted to say thank you. You and your show have been a huge part of my life since I was in high school. And I was struggling with what I wanted to ask, and I watched the show so many times, and on my 5th rewatch of season 3 recently, it became very clear what I wanted to ask. It's a specific question for you, Dana. And it goes back to what you were just saying about playing make-believe, kings and queens and stuff. But I'm very interested in Bobby's character arc. Specifically, in season 3, there's a lot of characters and new characters we meet in the Roadhouse and stuff who are, as the show tells us, not able to shovel themselves out of their shit. And including people like Shelley, who's in a cycle and stuff like that. And I'm curious, Bobby has this redemption arc. And I'm curious, now seeing the show, I know you only saw the pages as you were acting them, but as seeing the show as a whole, how do you see Bobby's, I know this is a complicated question, I'm sorry. How do you see Bobby's redemption arc as fitting in with what the show and season 3 is all about as a whole? Exhausting, I realize.
You can do it.
I think that it's interesting. The thing that was interesting about
I think it was interesting about all the cops, the sort of police department. We all were older, we were all gray, and we all had white hair, and it was all like there was a part of it. So I think that there was something to be said for that everybody was aging, but I don't know that I know the connection between Bobby's arc and the rest of the show. I don't get into that stuff probably as much as you do. God bless you for getting into it, but it's it's just not for me to say. And if I asked David about that, he'd be like, he would say, whatever you think. I'd be like, yeah. That's a great question.
I was just wondering, did you have any good anecdotes or stories about working with Harry Dean?
The only one I have, because I never was really on the set with him, and I'd seen him before that, and he used to play music at different places around LA. So you could catch him, he had a little outfit that he could play around. So I'd seen him do that before, but the only time I hung out with him was at the party after the show, the 3rd season was done. And he was sitting upstairs, and I went and sat down next to him because it was my chance to meet him. And he was smoking cigarettes, and literally all he talked about was smoking cigarettes. That was it. And I just sat there and talked to him about it, and I said, okay, well. That was my experience with him. I mean, he was the coolest. Repo man. That's all I got. She didn't have one. But we love you.
Thank you for the question. Being on set with David, was there any interesting or funny vocal cues he would give you, like when you were doing a really challenging emotional scene, like screaming or, you know, things like that? You have a crazy scream. Like, so, did he ever like say, you know, direct, like, because I heard he, you know, does funny, interesting cues to like get you into the scene. Can you speak on that?
Yeah, I mean, he does unique direction sometimes, but I don't think he ever gave me any funny cues before I had to scream. A lot of the screams, I knew where I had to go, so that was my emotional journey, and so my conversation with him, my questions or my conversation with him, if I was doing a screaming scene, was usually more on the technical side, like where's the camera going to be, what's the camera going to do, so that I know emotionally when I go to this place, you know, how are we shooting it? Are we doing it in wides, closer, moving shots? I was more asking technical stuff in terms of that. I don't know if that answered your question very well.
He did that kind of stuff maybe, you know, depending on who was working that day, you know. I think he had different ways of working with different people as far as like giving little keys and stuff like that. He was always pretty basic with me.
I will say one thing though. Sometimes, this happened to me, I think more in the pilot, but he would give direction that maybe if I was trying to understand it from the logical part of my brain, I would be thinking, I don't understand this. But what he was doing was creating a mood. And so it was almost like putting us in a mood and then starting the action. So it kind of is like tricking your mind in a way so that you don't overthink. As soon as an actor starts overthinking about what they're going to do in a scene, then they're not present in the scene. They're just stuck in their head. So it's kind of a really beautiful way of getting us out of our head and into this mood that then we would start the scene with.
Thank you. Thank you very much.